That's such a good question. I think it was really dropping in and getting really clear on who I wanted to become, because everything else is just an offshoot of that. But when you do take the time and space to just like get quiet, be alone, get into your head or drop into your body and just like feel who it is you want to be, what do they do, what do they, like who are they, who is that next level version of who you want to become.
Well, welcome to the show. Nathan Newberry here, your host. I have Kaylee Hamilton here on the line. Super glad to have her to feature the conversations that we have here about PR and all the mastery things that she does there. Welcome to the call here.
Thank you so much, Nathan. I'm so excited to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Of course. Well, tell us a little bit about what you got going on. Tell us the success, where you're at right now, what you're helping with people with, what you're doing. Help us understand where you're at right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, thank you. So I own a PR agency called Uplevel Agency, and we help purpose-driven, heart-centered entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders get media exposure, and we help just get them in front of way bigger audiences, more mainstream audiences. So we help get them booked on podcasts, get them featured in articles like Forbes and Business Insider, get them on TV, just so they can make a bigger impact and reach more people. And I really love working with purpose-driven people who have that really big vision and are ready to be seen on a way bigger platform and reach more people. So yeah, that's what we do. We recently did a mini kind of press tour with entrepreneur. He's a famous motivational speaker, author, David Meltzer, and the legendary comedian Dane Cook. We did a PR press tour for them, got them on different TV segments, featured in articles, on the radio, things like that. So I love working with people who are on a mission, have a purpose, have a really big goal and vision for being seen on bigger platforms. So yeah, that's what we do.
I love that. Well, tell us how you always started this. I mean, you're a high performer now. You do some amazing things for some amazing people. You love what you do. You're passionate about. You just moved from Cali and then Colorado, and then now in Scottsdale. There's a big network of amazing entrepreneurs out there. But it didn't always start there. Like, tell us like the origin story. Did you go out to Hollywood when you did that to be an actor, like so many people did? Like, what got you to the place of like into that gear of high performance? We want to hear your story there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You know what? Envy like drives people, and you don't have to look at it from a perspective of like, oh, it's bad to be envious. It's like, I always looked at envy as, oh, okay, there's a reason why I feel envious of this. It's because, and I later learned, it's because it's meant for me. And so just leaning into that, growing up in Colorado, I was super shy in school, really reserved, really just like timid, insecure. But I was really fascinated by Hollywood and celebrities. And I was fascinated with them because they were the opposite of how I viewed myself. They were on the biggest world platform in front of as many people as you could imagine. And I just could not get through my head and fathom what it would be like to be a celebrity, because I was too nervous to even speak in front of, some people in my class, let alone be a celebrity. So I didn't particularly want to be an actress or a singer. I didn't want to be them, but I wanted to know them. I wanted to know who these humans were behind this celebrity facade, behind this character. And so I grew up watching Entertainment Tonight after dinner with my mom. I grew up reading Us Weekly magazine. I was always the girl who knew the first celebrity news things. Like, people would come to me and be like, oh, Kayley, did you see that so-and-so broke up? Or did you see so-and-so is going to be in this movie? I'm like, they're like, what do you know? So that was kind of always in me growing up. And so I always knew that I wanted to do journalism and to report on Hollywood specifically. But growing up in Colorado, it was just kind of random, but I knew I wanted to go out to LA, go out to Southern California. So I moved out after I graduated high school, went to college in San Diego, and I ended up getting my first internship at Entertainment Tonight, of all places, which is the top entertainment news station that there is. So it was just such a crazy experience to go from having this really clear vision and wanting it so badly, but having no idea how the heck I would ever enter that realm, to having that dream kind of become reality, just in the sense of me working at ET and like getting a pass to go on the lot, walking into the studio, literally watching the two hosts film that day's show, film the same show that I grew up watching every single night with my mom. So that was the first moment of me kind of manifesting a dream into a reality that I was physically living. And then after that, I realized just how important it is to just like have a clear vision, and you don't need to know the exact path, but you have to just really lean into what that envy is.
How obsessive were you about that? Was it like in high school you had like those old binders that had things in it, and then you had like pictures that, like, how, like, did you have stuff on your wall? Like help us what that actual vision board looked like when you were that point.
Totally. Oh yeah, everyone knew I loved like the Leonardo DiCaprio, like Titanic. He was my big crush.
Yeah. Did you have a poster of him? Like so
yeah,
many girls
totally.
did. Yeah. Okay. Now we're really
Classic.
we're getting the
Classic
inside scoop of what
Johnson.
Kaylee looked like. Do you have does your mom still have like your bedroom in high school? Like it still looks the same? Do you still have that? She still have the posters? Like
Thankfully, she's moved, and so that bedroom is no longer in existence.
Because that would have been hilarious. I mean, would she be one of those people that probably would have still had it on your bedroom still set up?
Totally. I mean, she has all the photos. Like for Christmas, she would get me like Hollywood, big picture books of celebrities on red carpets and stuff. So we definitely have all of those. And like I have like autographed, photo. Back in the day when you could buy that like off of eBay, my dad would buy me like eBay signed, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet signed photos.
So your parents were really involved with this vision. They kind of pushed you toward like, hey, if you want to be a journalist, like this is what you go to get a degree in. Push you toward that. I mean, how involved or supportive were they with that dream of yours? I mean, if your mom watched it all the time and that was a girl thing, you probably remember really heavily with your mom. It sounds like.
Yeah, they really did. They really did push it. Plus, both of them were interested in it as well. So it's funny. Even my grandma was subscribed to the literal like tabloids. Like I remember going to her house and she'd have like National Enquirer and like all those tabloids near her front door. So it kind of also, I realized, runs in my family. And my mom grew up in Los Angeles, and she actually worked as a production assistant producer in her 20s before meeting my dad, and then left the industry. So she dabbled a little bit too. So I kind of knew that. So it's also a little bit in my lineage. Like my grandfather, who I never met, he was a music artist, and he worked at Capitol Records back in like the 1940s. And then I have some like aunts and uncles who were like actresses and producers. And so like I realized it was a little bit in my lineage, but it wasn't, I don't know, it never, even though that was a thing, it never felt really close enough for me to be able to leverage. So I really leaned into that vision so much that I would like just watch red carpets. When they started to stream online, I would just watch for the interviewers and watch what they had to say. I wouldn't even watch for the celebrities, and I would like just picture myself holding the microphone, being there, talking. Oh, if I was doing that interview with so and so, I would have said this, I would have asked that. And just leaning into like that, again, that like envy, like what are you drawn to, and just keep going deeper and deeper until it just feels real. And then it became real.
Yeah. What was the competition for that role? Like, how did you get that? Like, I mean, that's interesting, because I mean, you're obsessed about it. I'm sure it probably wasn't that easy to get one of those roles. Like, tell us a little bit about that journey to get that job or something like that.
Oh my gosh, to break into Hollywood is really, really tough, because everyone says it's so coveted. Everyone wants to work in Hollywood. And starting in the entertainment industry at Entertainment Tonight, which is the top show for entertainment news, I remember when they hired me as a production assistant, I had to take a celebrity quiz.
Whoa.
And so I had to go and answer like all of these questions about who was dating who, what were the names of like celebrities' kids, like what movie did so and so star in. And it was just so funny. I was like, I'm not in school anymore, but also this is so up my alley. Like, and of course I nailed the quiz because that was my whole being. I was just like
Mm-hmm.
obsessed. So leaning into the obsession definitely helps, and just becoming obsessed with whatever you want to manifest, that certainly helped. But yeah, the competition was high, and I learned really quickly that it's definitely sink or swim. Like working in that industry, it's tough, it's long hours, it's late nights, it's being super proactive, like more so than anyone else around you. And that's what helped me move up at Entertainment Tonight. I was, an intern, and then I was a production assistant, and then I saw that other people were able to go and do interviews, real interviews with celebrities on red carpets who weren't even the hosts or anything. And so I was like, okay, I want to do that, even though deep down I am so terrified, and like all I know of my identity is the really shy, insecure girl. But there's this other part of me that is just calling, that like I want so badly to hold that microphone and interview celebrities. So I asked how I could do that. I started shadowing people on red carpets, and then finally one day my friend was like, hey, here's the mic, do you want to do some interviews? And I was like, yes. And it was so scary. I blacked out. I don't even remember what I said. But I survived. I like, it was all good. And that was a moment of like just pushing myself, not even jumping, but like pushing myself off the diving board and going for it. And then after you do that a handful of times, you realize, okay, I'm safe. I survived, and I can do this.
What a surreal moment. Do you remember that like so vividly, the first day you stepped into the office and you're saying you saw them recording stuff? Like, was that pretty wild, like a pinching moment, calling your mom, Mom, that was amazing? Like, how was that experience with the first time you got to do what you were so obsessed and then achieved that goal?
Yeah, and it was so fun because my parents, grew up watching it too, so they thought it was just as cool. So when I started sending them photos, like, look where I am, like I'm on this set. And then of course, like I brought them into work eventually, like they got to meet the host, take photos, and it was such a cool factor thing. And beyond that, it also made me realize, whoa, I can go from a place of really looking up to people and being so inspired by people and having it feel like there's such a far reach away from me, to being at a place where they are literally my coworkers and colleagues. Like when I started doing field producing and being out in the field running these red carpet interviews, I would be the one producing the hosts that I grew up watching on TV, and I would tell them, okay, ask these questions, okay, camera guy, do this, sound guy, do that. And I just like, it's surreal when you realize I've been looking up to you for so long, and now we are literal colleagues working together. And so that was another validating moment in my life where I realized, okay, they don't have to be just my like distant inspiration forever. They can be somebody that's truly in my world who I get to work with and support.
With that confidence that you had to build, for being shy to the confident woman that you are now, how did you go from that? I know what you said you kind of pushed yourself with, which is awesome, but did you have to get like into like another persona of like, I'm Kay Hamilton or something like that, where it's like you look yourself in the mirror before you went out? Like, how did you do to prime yourself to get into that flow, to get that confidence? What was that like?
Honestly, throughout my 20s, I don't think I didn't do it in a sustainable way, because I did hit burnout multiple times, because I didn't have the self-development tools to do it in a flowy, sustainable way. So at first it was truly just like grit and pushing myself and just working really hard. Just saying yes to all the things. Like I didn't set boundaries for myself. I think growing up, we're kind of just taught like, if you work really hard, then you get promoted. You have to climb the ladder. You just have to work. And that was my whole mentality. So I was like, okay, if I'm the hardest worker, then I'll, get what I want. And that was my whole mentality. And yes, it did lead me to working my way up, but it also led me to burnout, because I still was operating from a place of scarcity and low confidence. And yeah, I didn't embody that next level version of me fully, because there are so many instances I can think of where I didn't step into that person that I could have, should have, would have been if I would have done the work back then, that would have elevated me to another level and another. Like, it was just pure hustle, which is just not sustainable. So I ended up burning out. I ended up leaving ET. I started working at Us Weekly. It just kept, it was kind of like burnout phases. And then it was when I did the whole self-development journey. I discovered meditation. I discovered just like the neuroscience behind the power of your thoughts, Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I realized how powerful like even affirmations are, vision boards, like visualizations. I dabbled in this stuff, but once I really got deep into it, that's when I was able to fully just up-level my being and step into that next level version of myself and hold the capacity for the big dreams that I wanted, as opposed to just being young, having the big dreams, and just like solely only being in hustle mode.
Yeah. How important was that though at the very beginning?
It was important. That's the other thing. It's like hustle is super important, especially at the beginning, because there's a season for hustle, there's a season for flow. And if you zoom out, yes, that it can be balanced, but if you zoom in, it doesn't always feel balanced, and that's okay. And with every season of hustle, you learn a million lessons to just upgrade the hustle and to be more resilient when you do the next hustle season. So yeah, I think it was still really important to hustle, because it certainly wouldn't have built my work ethic that I have today. It wouldn't have built so many things that I have in my toolbox and just who I am and what I'm capable of if I didn't go through that hustle. Yeah.
Well, when you talked with celebrities, I mean, it kind of, you peered into the under the hood part. How human are these people? I mean, now you're working with celebrities all the time. Like, was there a point where you talked about the peers that you worked with? What about the people you interviewed with? Was there a point where you saw the bridge between humanity, then, you know, the God part figures that people were when they were celebrities, when you watch all these movies? Did you ever meet Leonardo DiCaprio in person? Did that dream come true too? I mean, how was that?
I did. That was like, he was like the one celebrity that made me so like off the charts nervous, because he was on such a pedestal in my mind from the age of 7. But yes, it's really interesting seeing them in person and meeting them, seeing them in just like social settings. And you see, of course, they're all human. And I get asked this every now and then. It's like, who surprised you the most when it comes to like interviewing celebrities? And I say that actually no one has surprised me, because their kind of reputation precedes them, just because who they are as humans resonates out into kind of the ethers of the media. So like, there's nothing that's extremely curated or fake. Like, who they are as people, the energy that they live in, like the frequency that they're on, the media is just an amplifier of that. So going into interviews with people, I kind of already had a sense of like their energy, just knowing how they showed up in interviews prior, or just their reputation in the media. So yeah, like people like The Rock, like I interviewed Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and going into that, anyone would think, oh my gosh, that guy's so cool, he's so sweet, charismatic, and that's 1,000,000% exactly who he was. So yeah, they're certainly just, it's daunting at first to like see them and think, whoa, you are who you are. And then the second that like you have that connection and ask that question and start that conversation, then it just feels so at ease, because they are just humans and they're incredible humans. So it was really fun.
Let me ask you, did you have some nemesises? I mean, I can imagine how competitive it was. Like when you're like on the red carpet, I mean, how competitive was that? Like having a nemesis where it's like, did you have some, let's be honest, did you have some?
No, never a nemesis, but it's super competitive and really high pressure on red carpets, because there's 1 million photographers, there's 1 million journalists all around. It's loud, the photographers are yelling, and then there are publicists kind of overseeing the celebrities. And so sometimes celebrities will like kind of skip some journalists, or they'll get too far away, and then journalists have to like kind of, you know, move the mic and like get closer and yell their name and be like, hey, so and so, like come over here, and negotiate with the publicist. Like it's a lot of pressure and high stakes. One time I was on a red carpet out in Hollywood, and it was in the middle of summer, and it was scorching hot, like way too hot. And it was a huge red carpet, and there were a ton of big celebrities in this one particular movie. So I was like, I literally have to get so many interviews, and all the celebrities come at like almost the same time. So I'm trying to finish one interview while like getting my eyes on the other celebrity, and then I have to grab the other celebrity. And one of the main celebrities of that movie ended up just kind of walking down the carpet while I was in the middle of other interviews, and skipped over me. And I was like, I cannot leave this carpet. I'm like, I will get fired if I leave this carpet without getting an interview with her. And so it was so much pressure. So I had to run around, grab her publicist, beg her, this A-list woman. I begged her to come back just to talk to me, and it's just so high pressure. But thankfully, like everything always worked out in the end. But in that moment, it was like make or break, very scary. And especially when you're a young 20-something-year-old girl, it's a lot. But man, does it build your character.
Sure. I mean, you had to learn a lot about negotiating and convincing people to do stuff that you know you needed them to do, and wow. That's amazing. And then tell us further. And then you went down this route with going to different companies, and then now you're out in Scottsdale. Like tell us the other journey of your life and in your career and your success you've had.
Yeah, so 2020 hit. I was hopping around LA doing red carpets, and then of course all of that gets shut down. Same exact time I go through a breakup, and it just felt like my whole world just like ended within a span of like a couple of like 2 months, 1 month. And that was also the year I was like turning 30 later that year. And I was like, whoa, my whole life is changing. Do I want to still do red carpet interviews? Do I still want to work in Hollywood? And that's when I really dove into self-development work. I just like inhaled like all these podcasts. Learned to listen to Joe Dispenza, started meditation, did all the things like that. And I just felt like I wanted to upgrade who I was and how I showed up and who I served. And I realized that there were so many incredible people outside of my Hollywood bubble. Like all I really focused on were celebrities, entertaining celebrities. But then people like Jay Shetty and, they showed up in these new platforms on podcasts, and female entrepreneurs really inspired me. So a mixture of these people made me realize that I wanted to work with those people who were purpose-driven, heart-centered, doing really big things in the world and helping people. And I also realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur and use my skills in the media to help these people get on bigger stages and reach wider audiences. So during 2020 is when I had the time and the capacity to just like finally get quiet. I was like just always on the go. And I finally had time to get quiet and decide what was next and what I truly wanted and what my purpose was. And then, later that year, I as we came out of COVID, like I decided to stop drinking alcohol, and like I just changed my whole lifestyle and started the business, and started my business, and then started working with people and getting them those really big media wins. And it's been nothing but extremely fulfilling, and of course always challenging, but I love a good challenge. And after going through what I survived and thrived at doing throughout my 20s in the entertainment industry, I was just like, if I can handle that and go through that and crush it, then I feel like I can do anything, especially going from the girl that I always pictured myself, who was so insecure and shy and timid, who just like had big dreams but no real way of getting them. So yeah.
What's the 2.0 or the 10.0 version of where you were, and then what did you apply to help you overcome some of that stuff? Because what I'm hearing is when you were starting out, it was like it's a grit grind. and you had to build confidence with who you are and understanding in your 20s, all those different elements of, what you had to do and balance. And then COVID hit everybody, and that put everybody into a point of like, I don't know what the next stage or time it is. And so I totally get, having to rethink about everything, because you have now time to think a lot. And that was probably helpful, even though it was hard to really kind of look at. I mean, you had some major challenges with the relationships, and then I think you moved. I mean, there was, I think you moved recently. I don't think it was before during COVID, but I can understand why. But I mean, there's a lot of components. I mean, I think they say that some big life changes are the ones with the job change, which you did. Relationships is another one, and then moving is a whole nother big.
Yeah.
And you did two of those things during COVID, and I think recently you just made this big move to Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a cool place. I just went there a few months ago. Love that area. But yeah, I mean, what was that 2.0 version? What were the things that you applied in the principles? I think you hinted towards some of the things like meditation or, things. Tell us like your schedule, your lifestyle. What were the things, what were the principles, what were the things that we can take away from those things that you have?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think it was really dropping in and getting really clear on who I wanted to become, because everything else is just an offshoot of that. But when you do take the time and space to just like get quiet, be alone, get into your head or drop into your body and just like feel who it is you want to be. What do they do? What do they like? Who are they? Who is that next level version of who you want to become? Getting really clear on that. And then also finding expanders. So I found a lot of female business owners, entrepreneurs who I really followed their content. I listened to all of their podcast interviews. And so that really helped me to synthesize what was possible for me. So an expander is really important. It's like, okay, if she can do it, there's no reason that I can't do it. So just using them as a guiding light is really helpful. And
so does that mean like you were journeying a lot, understanding who you are, and then you also reached out to other people and just asked them, like picking their brain or reading their books, or did you join their mentorships, or was it a network with them? How did you get around those types of people that leveled you up?
First and foremost, it was podcasts, especially during COVID, because the saying, like, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. And I was in a place where I'm like, I don't know if I even like have anyone in my life or in my circle, and especially during COVID, no, we were all alone anyway. So I use podcasts as like, okay, these are like my friends. I'm going to pretend like I'm in the room with them, having this conversation with them. I felt so grateful that podcasts even existed and that they were opening the doors to these conversations that people had really never heard before. So that was fascinating to me to hear from huge entrepreneurs sharing their deepest, darkest secrets and stories and trials, tribulations, struggles, all the way up to their successes. So that was first and foremost, and that also planted the seed in me that I, number one, need an expander always to kind of represent the next level thing that I want to accomplish, and that mentor coach that you just mentioned, and you and I met having the same mentor business coach, because those people hold you accountable. They curate groups of incredible people, and just being in their energy is so uplifting. And what they know, it can just like shave off years of you figuring it out yourself.
I know so many times people have levels in their life, right? 2.0, 3.0, and so on. I feel like there's levels in growth in a lot of different areas. Key elements that I'm thinking about is levels of being around a lot of these people. What were some of these things that helped you level up in so many ways? Like, what were the things that you caught that were like, okay, here's the 2.0? I mean, you said you did some habit changes, you changed your environment. Like, what else in that replacement ladder or that identity shift or the beliefs that had to be ingrained? What were some of those things for you?
I mean, I caught on to the way that these people lived. Like, there was a through line with so many of them where they didn't drink alcohol. And like in my 20s, I would just drink just on the weekends. like socially. And then starting my business and really like embodying that next level version of myself, I no longer resonated with going out every single weekend and like wanting to have a drink. And so that was something that just like kind of just like sloughed off of my identity. Yes, I made an intentional decision after one weekend. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to not do that anymore. And it was like the easiest decision. And I've never thought about it again. That was like over 3 years ago. So that was just like an offshoot of getting clear on that identity for me. Same with working out daily, which is one of the like daily non-negotiables that we're meant to do with our business coach. It's like, that was before, it was kind of, I'd work out every now and then if I feel like it. And then as I embodied that next level version, it was like, no, the next level of Kayley would work out every single day without question. And you just kind of, it becomes you. And same with meditating. I would meditate. I would write down. This is actually how I manifested my now fiancé, is writing down exactly what you want down to a T. And I had a kind of an epiphany that Dr. Joe Dispenza helped me realize. I talked about him as if we're like besties, but I've just listened to every podcast interview he's done. But
you would surprise. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with all the amazing people you've met in your life. You're like, yeah, I know that guy. You know, you could just.
He's on my dream list one day. But no, he was like, okay, write down everything that you want in a dream partner. Look at the list. Now become that person yourself. And I was like, okay, I've never really thought of it that way. And it's like, would this dream man want to date everything that I am right now currently? And I'm like, there's probably some things that I could upgrade and fix. And like, am I that person that I just wrote down on that list? And so that made it so clear in my mind of the person that I wanted to become to attract a partner, let alone do all the other things that I dreamed of. And so that's what I did. I wrote down the list. I was so clear and intentional. I went to Colorado, booked a one-way ticket to my mom's house over Christmas, was swiping on the dating apps, and then he popped up, and literally within a second of seeing his profile, I was like, him. It's him. I know it's him.
Wow.
And just seeing his photos, seeing the way that he answered the questions in his profile, I remember showing my mom, being like, Mom, look at this guy. And swiped right, and we connected. We went on a date a few days later, and he ended up also having his own list of all the things he was looking for in a partner too. And both of our lists very much matched who each other were. Meanwhile, he had been doing work on himself leading up to meeting me. So that was just like beautiful and serendipitous. But the clarity piece is really, really important.
That's so cool. So cool. I'm hearing so much alignment with obsession and like the elements of just breathing into what you're really thinking, and that becomes the top of mind all the time, and then it just kind of happens. So Joe Dispenza, here you go. You know, you're going to meet Kayley one of these days. It just happens with all the stuff, you know. But yeah, like, so high performance. What are some key principles that you could teach someone that's beginning? They're cutting their teeth on like trying to become this better version of themselves, or even people that are tried and true, some areas of things that they can just think and habits. It could be beliefs or understanding. Like, what are some things that you can give us some principles and insights? I know what you've done, but what are some like principles, quotes, or other elements of things that you could teach us or help us can resonate with?
Yeah, I think it's just with high performance, it's like really laser focusing on that, whatever that goal is for you. And rather than adding things into your routine or being like, okay, I need to add this, what I realize is really helpful for me is taking things away that are kind of that like 80%. I love the book 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And it's all about leaning into that top 20% that moves the needle, that is your unique ability, that is that mastery, and offloading the 80% that is not moving the needle. And so we're always consumed by all these different ideas, especially as entrepreneurs. It's like, oh, I could do my business this way, or I could do this offer. Oh, it's like endless. So it's really like getting clear and laser focusing on what that goal is, and then focusing on only the 20%. And your mind will kind of like try to fight with you, because your mind wants novelty. It feels like it needs to like do extra work. And that's why they say 10x is easier than 2x, because 2x is just doing the work times two. 10x is in a whole nother realm of just doing that top 20%. So for me, taking out things like, for example, with working out, like I have one app and I work out at the same time every single morning with my same yoga mat, doing Pilates. That's super easy. I also take out, I do intermittent fasting. So rather than thinking about, okay, what am I going to eat when I know that I only eat between like noon and like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. at night, and just taking away variables makes it so much easier. And he talks about this in Atomic Habits too. Just like taking away extra stuff. I recently stopped eating sugar. Like I have such a big sweet tooth and I love chocolate. And then I realized, okay, this is not, I need to chill. And instead of like picking and choosing and thinking and overthinking, okay, maybe I'll eat chocolate now, or maybe I'll like wait till the week. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna take it out. I'm just not gonna eat sugar. And that's what I did with alcohol, rather than just trying to decide, because it just overloads your head energetically too. It's just like a drain having those extra thoughts, when instead you could just make the decision to 10x and then just be that person and take the whole 80%, rest of the 80% off of your plate.
I love that. So, I mean, you're thinking about, instead of just adding more, you're thinking about taking away. Like, what are the things that aren't helping me right now? What are the things in my life that I could probably take out? And that's going to help you kind of sort through, helping you be optimal in every area of your life. And you're thinking in all realms. So you got, your health that you're really trying to prioritize. You're looking at your mental clarity. You're looking at your business, your relationship. I mean, you're taking everything to the whole nother level. Yeah. So I love that. What are some of the things on your horizon for goals? Like, what's on your vision board that you wouldn't mind sharing? What are some things that you're looking at ahead? What would your audience or the people listening in here like just resonate a lot with this up and coming, 10.0 or 20.0 of Kayley?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's so important to speak it out loud too. So I love that you asked that question. But I feel like it's another pattern from before in my life, where the people that I aspire to, become, or who just really inspire me and feel so distant, I again want to make those people my colleagues, my mentors, my friends. So I think I'm in just another stage of that. And I recently did that when we worked with David Meltzer and Dane Cook. Like, that was a huge dream come true. I really admire both of them. So I think leaning into more of that and helping and being able to just offer a lot of value and support to huge people who I really just admire. And again, like the envy thing, there's a reason that some people stick out in my mind or whoever's mind. It's like deep down there's an intuitive feeling where I'm like, okay, there's a reason why I'm so drawn to that person, or I'm obsessed with, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm like, there's some sort of reason. I feel like beyond him helping me so much, like there's probably some sort of chapter later on where I will be able to help him a lot with his brand or PR, or whatever it may be. So that's kind of my big vision goal, is being able to help really incredible people who inspire me, and help them by being able to help them reach mainstream audiences and just do what I do. Amazing.
Well, wrapping it up here in our podcast, tell us some highlights or things that we can take away from your story, and real important things that are important to you, or the last, moments here. What would you want to say? What are some of the last moments here?
Yeah, something that helped me is just remembering, like, if they can do it, I can do it. There's no reason. Another thing that helps me is if nobody, what's the quote? Like, nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone's just figuring it out. And when you see people doing insane things, you can't even fathom like how they got to where they are, how they've built what they've built, or how they, walk red carpets and do interviews and whatever. Just remembering like, you know what, we're all human. None of us like really know what we're doing. We're just figuring it out as we go. And those two things really bring it back down to the foundation of, I can do this. I think it's just really important to have that self-worth too. And it really helps me when I remind myself in my head and sometimes out loud, like, you know what you're doing. You are super badass. Like, everyone, respects you. Everyone wants to work with you. Like, I really repeat those affirmations in my head because you never want to lean into those negative voices that tell you the opposite. And both of them, you can choose to lean one way or the other. And so you might as well lean toward the positive because your thoughts are so powerful. It's how you create literally anything. So just remembering your worth, remembering that whatever you feel called to, there's a reason for that. So explore that. And that reason is because you are meant for that.
Love that. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. I know we'll have every link down here below, but where can people find you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Nathan. You ask really good questions. They're so thoughtful. I really appreciate it. But yeah, people can find me at Kaylee Hamilton _ on Instagram. You can visit us at uplevelagency.com, UPLVL. And if you DM me Nathan Newberry, I'll send you our link to watch our free masterclass on the 6 steps to become the celebrity expert of your industry, where we go over exactly how you can pitch yourself to the media, get on podcasts like this one, and reach wider audiences.
I'll put that down below. But we'll sign off. Until next time.